my name is Scott Bradley, and this is the Gersnet Podcast. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Forrest Precision Engineering. And tonight, I'm delighted to be joined by Ali Anderson. Ali, how are we, mate?
A bit as good as can be expected, Scott, which is mildly suicidal. Nice first time we've been on the show together, and I'm really looking forward to that, mate. Looking forward to that. You've got the short straw because I'm delighted, relieved, surprised actually to be invited back on Gersnet. The last time I was on, I accused everybody who didn't like James Tavernier at right back of being racist. I didn't realise I'd done it. I didn't actually mean to say that. I just like to apologise for that. That's not what I meant. Just plays into the way this whole season's been gone. Next day, I'm looking at the comments. Oh, that's really sad what you're saying that you're racist if you don't like Tav. I didn't say that. I watched the video back. I did say that, and I didn't mean to say that at all. So apologies for that. And obviously, we don't have time to be racist because we're too busy being sectarian. How's yourself, Scott? You all right, mate?
I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. I'm just pretty scunnered, of course, after yesterday. And I said it in the post-match fatigue, like, I'm just numb, mate. I'm just numb. It's like, of course, I was very disappointed yesterday, but, like, I wasn't even angry. It's just expected now. And, yeah, like, obviously, you and I are probably, like, the two most positive Rangers fans going, but even you and I can't put a spin in this, mate.
James Tavernier loyal. You know, Tav wasn't playing yesterday, so he's officially not the problem anymore. So we can take that out at Scott, you know.
Exactly. So I will just dive right into it, Alec, and of course, Rangers drew 1 each with Dundee Utd at Ibrox. Of course, another poor result as we fall at 11 behind Celtic and remain third. And yeah, I'm not even surprised, mate. Not even surprised. But what was your take in the game?
Yeah, I think you can make. I think it becomes so apparent. I'm not for 1 second saying it's just Rangers are crap. In the league, we are crap. That's all there is to it. What's that? 13 points off 12 games played, and we've dropped 13 points so far this season. So we're dropping more than a point a game, just over a point a game, and it's not even December yet. So it's pretty grim. It speaks for itself. But it's actually the first domestic home game that we failed to win this season. It's the manner in which we have been winning so many of them has been really poor. It just gives us this idea that we're not really surprised by yesterday's result. But we left before the international break, that game against Hearts, and you can say, well, we had a European game before that, so you can understand the fact we struggled a bit in that game. You can put the kind of intense trip to Piraeus, even though Hearts are a European game that Thursday night as well. But it's this thing of coming back from international breaks. I think we come back for the first international break this season. We beat United at Tannadice, the only away win we've got domestically all season. Just like the thing that they're the first team to stop us with a 100% record domestically at home. But then the Kilmarnock game, that was after the last international break. Celtic and Aberdeen had drawn on the Saturday. What an opportunity to catch somebody, and that was a woeful performance at Rugby Park. And then you've got this one today, and I'm expecting players, Clement's got 2 more weeks with them to work together with them, with the players. I know a few of them are away on international duty, but they're the ones that end up playing best. Just though Czerny's put in most effort, what have you. I'm expecting more from the team when they come back from an international break, and the fact that they just started so poorly. I think the only thing to do, as I say, Scott, to try and offer anything to our listeners is try and offer reasons, if there's any mitigation to be found, because everybody's just totally peed off with it. It's almost become a meme of the last maybe the last month. I'm no angry. I'm actually just numb. I'm no angry. Yeah. It's got so bad I can't even get angry. Yesterday I was gutted. I was physically numb because it was absolutely freezing and we'd been there for an extra hour. But maybe you could say United turning up late. They're the ones that they're all gone, they're all worked up in our frenzy. We've had to sit there for an extra hour, warm-ups, what have you. It's a reverse of what we did when we went to Dens Park under Clement in one of his earliest games last season, where we were late on the bus, because of stuff that was happening weather-wise on the roads, and we ended up pumping them 5-0. So United go out and play brilliant. They're psyched up, but the first half was absolutely woeful. The second half was, slightly, just an ordinary second half by Rangers standards against a team like United. And yeah, it's just all about whether you think that this is part of any kind of plan. This is what a reset or a rebuild looks like. This is what downsizing should look like. That's the only question that's remaining. But the game itself was it was an absolute stinker. It was just a stinker of a day all round.
Oh yeah, and of course, I just want to touch on obviously the first half. As we said, it was abysmal. It was a disgrace. It was brutal to watch, and of course, like I just want to touch on Dundee United's goal defensively. What were we doing? It was a total car crash of a goal to concede. Like proper, don't even know what he's trying to do. John Suter, I've been like this thing really annoys me about John Suter, right? See for Scotland, phenomenal, right? See when we played Portugal, right? Had Ronaldo in his back pocket. Days later, he crosses a goal at Rugby Park, has a stinker, and I just don't get it. Hell, he's brilliant for Scotland, but he's like bang average for us. I just don't get it. But in terms of the goal, it was just a complete mess, wasn't it?
Oh, car crash is exactly the way to describe it. Mate. It was at the time. I just thought it was. I was so bored already by that point. And United, I'm bored from watching us doing nothing despite having all of the ball. And United, I think, had been up the park once, maybe before that. There's a second 40 up the park. It's their only shot on target for the whole game. United is they score from it. And at first, I thought it had been lumped up the park and it had been right down the middle of where our centre half should be. You knew instantly it was a total car crash. You're hoping you're going to get away with it with a long VAR check. But I think the guy was in so much space that you instinctively thought there's a good chance he's offside, actually. No, he wasn't. We just gave him so much space that he looked as if he could be offside. But they actually had the ball out in the left wing and they checked inside, got it into kind of their inside left channel, if you like, your right hand side, float the ball into the box. And it's just going over the penalty spot almost, the dead centre of the goal. It's like a chasm of space. I watched it again in the sports scene. Neil McCann's pretty certain that it's Hefty that should be in there covering. Even though he's got a man coming in, United do well. They do flood guys into the box as they play the ball in there, and it's given us people to watch. But there's a break. You need a tactical expert here, but it looks like there's a breakdown between man marking and zonal marking, and that's how it always looks when you try to mix the two. I think it's prone to that kind of thing happening, but. It looks, for me, it's where a centre half should be, a proper centre half should be unable to stop himself being in the middle of the box when there's a ball coming into it. That's the kind of stuff they should be living for. I know Proper's supposed to be more of a technical player. That's a nice way of describing how he's not settled into Rangers so far. He's not for the physical battle or whatever, but this is just, it looked like basics. I can't help thinking it's Proper's fault. It's more towards where he should have been. But Hefty also, the first thing that happens before the ball's even in the back of the net, you see it from watching the replays. Proper's turning and Hefty saying, "No, I was supposed to be picking up this guy here, out in the wing." And he's saying, "No, you've got to be in here." I don't know if Proper's trying to defend himself. A guy that he made his league debut with an own goal against Motherwell. He get ragdolled by St Mirren. I don't know if he just got to the point he's starting to try and obfuscate and kind of spin his situation a bit of PR, but. I'm not enough of a tactical expert to decide who it should have been, but for me, as an unreconstructed kind of 70s, 80s, 90s football fan, your big centre half should be in that spot, and you just should never lose a goal like that. But it's maximum punishment, and that is the thing with us. Is an XG of just over 2 for Rangers. Dundee United, it's not even 0.75. I think it was less than 3/4 or something of an XG, and yet they take 2 points off us. And this is the thing that's getting to us this season.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I completely agree, Alec. And of course, at half-time, Clement brought off Dessers and Diamandi for Hadji and Danilo. What's your thoughts on Dessers, Alec? Because I've defended him for a good while, right? I've had a lot of patience with him. He's hands down the most frustrating footballer I've ever seen play at Ibrox, right? But I'm at that stage now where I'm done with him. I just cannot go another season with him leading the line, because that's the thing. He can stink the joint out, right? But you'll get you a goal. But the only thing, like, if he doesn't score, what does he actually offer you? He can't link up the play. He can't hold up the ball. He's hopeless, let's be honest. But what's your take on him?
Well, he's scoring goals. He has scored, and that's the first in 4 games that he hasn't scored a goal. I think Dessers, he's frustrating you because he does enough to show you why he is getting in the team. And I know a lot of it's because Danilo's been injured, he's just coming back. We've got a terrible, but the whole squad is decimated with the kind of downsizing that's obviously going on at the club. You throw the injuries in on top of that, and we're actually asking more of Dessers than a guy. He's quite heavy built, Dessers, and that's what always frustrates me. You're right, you're saying, Scott, the way he's never leading the line. He's holding the ball up right? and laying it off. Now, I've seen him doing that kind of thing. What he's actually good at is coming extra deep and knocking a fantastic ball through, knocking a pass through to overlaps for the wing. You remember that, but I'm even as I'm saying this, I'm getting embarrassed because what was that? beginning of last season against PSV Eindhoven. It was Matondo he played the ball through to. He did it with somebody else last season. He can do that kind of stuff. He's got lovely touches, nice kind of soft shoe shuffle stuff, and a bit of dribbling about him. But in terms of the physicality of the Scottish setup, I mean, he just gets back pocketed by Carter Vickers in Old Firm games. I mean, that's a massive frustration for Rangers supporters. But scores in Europe, and it's that whole thing of he needs 5 chances to get a goal, but he does get that goal. And I'm talking about the Olympiacos game in particular here. He scored one of the goals of the century away to Real Betis, our only win against Spanish opposition in Spanish soil. I'll never forget that one. But he's not got it. He's not got enough for what we want. I said at the beginning of the season, but we still need him, just the situation we're in just now, because we don't have guarantee of goals for anywhere else. Like Tom Lawrence, the same thing. No good enough to play at 10 for us, but we've actually lost his goals. He scored the winner the last time he played Dundee United. He scores that great goal against Hibs. He's not doing enough in games. When he was playing Tom Lawrence, he's just not suited to that position, but he does enough. And the paucity of our squad just now, we're missing him because of I think 3 or 4 goals he scored, and we're missing somebody that managed 3 or 4 goals and isn't playing very well at 10. I said to myself really earlier on in the season when Dessers won his first run of goals, when he got 6 or 7 goals and was at 10 games or so, and Ross McCausland was doing quite well. I want to see Rangers in a situation where Dessers and Ross McCausland will be doing well to get taken off to come off the bench in the second half. I want to see us have a squad of that kind of depth, that kind of quality, where even when the two, I like Ross McCausland, great effort, great endeavour. He's got a good skill set there, what have you. I like Dessers when he's scoring goals. It doesn't everybody, but I just want to be in a situation where we don't need these guys. But while we do need them, unfortunately, yesterday it was woeful. He couldn't get involved at all yesterday, and I don't know how much of that was down to just the garbage we were providing in the wing. The balls were going to the wing, and the attacks were just dying. But I understand why. I get it as well. I'm cussing and swearing and what have you every time Dessers when he goes through on goal. If he's actually running through on goal, I'm not expecting a goal. I'm just kind of like go and put the kettle on if I'm watching the telly or whatever. I'll just talk to the person next to me in the main stand when he's going through 1-on-1 or whatever. It's not going to go in. But I feel that he sums up the frustrations of Rangers just now, and he goes out and he does it. He does a basic job for us. He's 20 goals a season. That's what we did when he was in Italy. That's what he did Belgium, etc. He's done that for us, and we don't have any right to expect any more from him, and it's not his fault. I think that he's been relied on so much.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, Alec, because that's the thing with Dessers, where obviously we had no choice but to rely on him last season, right? And of course, I think he got 22 goals, which is it's okay. Right, it's okay, right? It's not the best. Like, if you're going to be Rangers' main striker, you need to get getting some more goals than that. But I just want to touch on this briefly, right? I don't know if you've seen it. Obviously, Shankland said that he'll be leaving Hearts at the end of the season. Would you want to try and go for him in January and get him in the cheap? Because obviously Shankland, of course, he's not really had a good start to this season, but obviously he got player of the year last year. He had a great season, and obviously we've always been like him, and he knows the league inside out. He's a homegrown player. I think we should honestly just try and go for him in January and get him cheap.
I wish we went from last January, mate. January. We should do whatever we can to get. I don't care how badly he's playing this season. Get Lawrence Shankland to Ibrox. He will be an icon, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not trying to say for a second he's going to solve every issue. It's not. We're really guilty of doing this as Rangers supporters. The person that's not playing, I'm always saying this, the person that's not in the team is suddenly better, because everybody that is in the team's crap. And I think we apply that to strikers as well. I've seen I think last season we're falling out over who we should sign, who we should get, what player we should get in. Shankland's better. I can't remember what our other target was, supposedly rumoured in the January transfer window last season. But I watched enough of Lawrence Shankland last season, just letting Scott Sport highlights. So Scott Sport's thrown my age there. Sports scene highlights, and on the Patty newsreels and all that. He was brilliant. And it was a game at Dens Park when I think Hearts were 2-1 down to Dundee, and he basically, I think 2-0 down. I think he scored 2 and set up the winner. He get taken off his toes. He was scoring winners against Hibs at Easter Road, and I know Rangers are a different level for Hearts, but Scottish striker, I think we need more Scots just now. Even our new sporting director, technical director, was saying that in his first interview the other day. He gets the whole thing about the Scottish DNA. He gets it. He absolutely gets it, Shankland. He's laying on goals for Hearts in Europe and all that as well. He's an absolute icon with the Jambos, and I think he he would step up and be an icon with us. But maybe only for a couple of seasons. He's getting towards that kind of age. Plus, he played for Beerschot between Dundee United and Hearts. He played for Beerschot in Antwerp, where our manager started and ended his playing career at that very club. So they've got lots to chat about. But I get him signed, mate. Absolutely.
And of course, the second half was better, and we did get the equaliser through Czerny, but we really struggled to find any real quality in that final third, Alec. And we couldn't really break Dundee United down. Of course, they had 10 men behind the ball, and of course, they were time wasting in that. But of course, I have no issue with them time wasting. When teams come to Ibrox, a point for them is like a victory, right? So you know how they're going to set up. But yeah, like we could have been there till today, mate, and we still wouldn't have got that winner.
I know. I thought it. I thought it was coming. I did actually think it was coming. But the problem with these games is when you start so poorly, and this is something all Rangers teams have been guilty of since 2012. Anyway, Rugby Park's the place we usually do it most often. You start badly, you don't get going. Come on, I don't like you get going, and then we'll get a goal when we take the lead, or we'll get an equaliser or something like that. But the undertow has the pace has been set. The kind of tone has been set. We've got too much to make up for. And it ends up, it bites us in the backside. Yesterday, the second half yesterday was what a poor first half should be for Rangers. The first half was an abomination. It was awful. And the thing with that is it gives me the one tiny wee kind of consolation, not consolation, but I've given up in this season anyway. The announcements that were coming out of Ibrox and all that, it was like we're downsizing. You could see from the transfers that who was going out, the quality or lack thereof of what was coming in, the numbers of what we were getting in. The messages coming from John Bennett and then from the manager himself, I thought, yeah, it's obviously we're downsizing. I'm not expecting hundreds of trophies, a League Cup if we're lucky this season, and that's okay if you can see, you know, that we're going to push on. There's the reset, and I think that's what we actually look like just now. We look like a kind of basic diagram. We look like a sketch. You know, this is a painful analogy, but it's. You know, we look like we're just at the very, very start of something. The foundations are there only. The way we move the ball about, going through the same kind of routines all the time, goes out wide, we're standing the ball up, kind of like a 1930s style, try to dribble past the defender and all that. There's no fluidity, there's no movement. Get these automatisms going, that hopefully comes together. But I felt as if the second half, it was inevitable that it was going to be United are camped in more. We're camped outside their box. I thought Hadji offered a bit more penetration. There was a few wee options there. It wasn't enough though in the long run. But the way Czerny was playing, he was actually, although it was a terrible day and a terrible result, and he didn't do particularly well in the first half. Czerny was only kind of hope in the first half, but the second half he really stepped it up. Took the game by the scruff of the neck, and I'm pinching that for Sportscene. Somebody said that in Sportscene, took the game by the scruff of the neck. I'm sorry for that. It's instinctive. It's pathetic, Patter. It's only Patter I can repeat. But he had a wee bit where he kind of slalom between two or three players, and I thought he was actually going to beat like five guys and put it away himself. You know, he gets the one goal, lovely work with Danilo, but I actually felt as if it was going to come. You know, because I have got a kind of a base underlying kind of belief that there is something could still come from the tenure of Mr. Clement, but it didn't happen. It was absolutely gutting, and the goalkeeper had a couple of good saves, did have a couple of cracking saves. I didn't appreciate how good the one was, the stop on the line, basically, that he just kind of palms it away once he's already made the basic save from the shot. It was a great save. At the time, I just thought it was we'd mucked up in a kind of goal-mouth scramble, but it was a cracking shot, and I saw it on the telly today. A cracking save by the fella, but it wasn't playing well enough to justify us not being able to get a second goal, Scott. So disappointing.
Yeah, and I think it's safe to say, Alec, the support has turned on Clement. And I remember I wrote an article at the start of the season, right, where I said that fans need to be patient with Clement, right? And I've always defended him, but now I can't. I just don't see how he can survive this. See, like, as you said, if there were signs of improvement or of like structure and a real plan going forward, I'd be like, okay, I can see what he's trying to do. I don't even know what he's trying to do. Yesterday at the presser, when he came in, he's lost his aura. I remember when last year when he would come into a presser, everyone went silent. He was like, oh, there's Clement, presence, aura. You listened to every single word that he said. And like, see, yesterday when I'm writing down some of the quotes, I'm like, did he just really say that? Like, I'm just like, really? But he asked, I thought it was really telling, right? He got asked a question yesterday. I think it was something to do with, like, do you believe that Rangers can still win the league, right? And he kind of paused, like, for a good few seconds, right? And he just kind of looked defeated. And I thought that was really telling. I was like, wow, he knows this season's a write-off, and he knows he's pretty much out his depth here. But do you think there's any way he can survive this and turn it around?
Yeah, I think there is a way he can. If you the supporters, but we don't have long enough to have this conversation properly. I don't think, Scott. But for me, it's we've always been we're a big team, a big club, very demanding. The support's always going to be slightly knee-jerk, slightly reactionary when you get a run of just consistently dropping points like this. The League Cup, we're actually doing all right in the League Cup, struggled against Motherwell and that kind of thing. We're in the final maybe because we didn't beat Celtic in the semi. The run in Europe, tanked at home obviously by Leon, but that's Leon. The away games in Europe, this six away games against top class opposition. He's not lost an away game yet. Touching wood, obviously, he could get pumped on Thursday in the Côte d'Azur, but fans that are criticising Clement, and I understand why, we need to, keep on top. We need to keep Rangers honest and let them know what's expected of them. I think a lot of them have started saying things like, I don't care about Europe. What's the point of Europe and all that? And that's like, you're lying to yourself there. You're saying, because it's an inconvenient truth when you want it to be an all-out, this guy's a dud, he's got to go. He's won 3 titles in Belgium. He won them, in the 2020s. It's not as if it was a million years ago. He's won it with 2 different clubs. That's a good level. It's a really good level of coaching. Even not a success in Monaco, but not a complete disaster either. That's a great level. And I think people will see it. If you're anti Clement, and so many of our fans are now, you will see his enthusiasm for being there for the rebuild as being him just trying to write his own ticket, trying to make sure he's keeping himself in a job. I don't think he's at that. I don't think he really needs to, and I think he genuinely will enjoy what he's doing. And I think he's broken us down to our component parts, which is what's required. I think that's why we've got square pegs and round holes, because he's thinking these players aren't going to be staying here. I'm going to be getting rid of Dessers. I'm going to be getting rid of, name whoever else is. Proper's going to be. That was a mistake. He's maybe going to go. He's going to get rid of so many of these players. The one thing he can control is the system that we're playing, or the formation. Formations are different for systems, obviously. But he's played. So it's this 4-2-3-1 or 4-1-4-1 even, which Man City not doing too well just now, but they've done quite well at the 4-1-4-1 recently in recent years. Liverpool, Arne Slot, who managed Cyril Dessers in a European final the same season we won a European final. He's playing that system with Liverpool as well. So I think Clement is almost. It's like, you're too young, Scott, but great film of my youth, The Karate Kids. It's like wax on, wax off, paint the fence. Why are you making me do this? I just want to punch folk. Why are you sticking this formation with these players? We want to beat Celtic. I'm expecting a moment where it all makes sense, where it all kind of kicks in, and it's not happening, obviously, but it's not happening so far. But I was prepared to pay the price of the season, no reaping many benefits domestically. We're in bonus territory in Europe, but for me, that's a massive thing for Rangers. That's a massive prestige for us. I went through so many years of Rangers woefully underachieving for the size of club we are in European football, and what Clement's doing in Europe, I feel is a sign that he knows what he's doing. I know we get this thing, it can do well in Europe, but he can't do the business in Scotland. Doing the business in Scotland should be easier. There should be a trickle-down effect eventually of him consistently, because Steven Gerrard did that for 3 years. If we don't get the message that a guy who can do well in Europe at that level, that consistently, eventually there will be a trickle-down effect, even financially, into the domestic side of things. Then, we're getting pretty forgetful about what Steven Gerrard did not too long ago. So I think there is hope there. I think there's a case to be made, and I think a lot of his demeanour in the press conference yesterday might have been down to him thinking, "You don't get what I'm doing here." He's getting sick of answering the questions, and he's got this leadership group thing. I think Clement is doing the statistics. Well, actually, statistically, we weren't that bad at Parkhead when we get pumped 3-0, and that sends us all raging. But he would then have the players coming out, Jack Butland and what have you, saying, "No, we're crap, it wasn't good enough." And I think he's put that on. It's not undermining. He's putting that on to the leadership group to do the stuff that, the kind of PR almost for the fans, so that they know we're aware of how bad it is. But he's got to lead the whole club, really. And it's hard to do that more than he should. And we're only just getting the whole background situation at Ibrox as well is a massive mitigation for Clement. So I think maybe it's quotes in a shaky peg time, but I just don't think we can go through this again. I don't think we can. We've got to give it a go. apart from anything else. We've just got to know that we didn't sack the manager in winter time before the turn of the year. Again, we didn't lose a manager for the fourth season or trot at this time of year. We pushed it on. We tried to see if we could go forward with a plan, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's everything's in flux just now behind the scenes as much as anything else. But I can definitely see how Clement could stay, but I can also see what's happening on the park and what's happening in the stands, mate. So it's in the balance.
Mm-hmm. And then just to finish off, Alec, how do you see Thursday night going?
Easy. I absolutely do. I'll take the point, but I think we'll probably end up, we'll all be raging because Dessers will have missed 2 or 3 chances and we should really have pumped them. You know what I mean? It's great. It's the same thing. That's what in Europe. Leon Gubdas at Ibrox, and they are. I don't know. I don't actually know how Nice got on tonight against Strasbourg. They're playing Strasbourg, and if they'd won that, they would have went above Leon. They'd go about 4th, I think, in Ligue 1. But they're like 30th or 31st in this in the Europa League table, and we're up at 9th, just 10th, just in the cusp of getting into the actual automatic qualification for the last 16. They've only drawn both their home games. And they've lost both their away games. They get pumped by Lazio in Rome. They drew at home with, I think, was it AZ and San Sebastian, Real Sociedad. So they've only got 2 points in that group, and we are doing absolutely fantastically. So you get that thing sometimes. You think, well, if Leon can gub us and they're in the same level in the same domestic situation, they should definitely gub us Nice on Thursday. But when you remember the Europa League run to the final, Dortmund and RB Leipzig, we totally disposed of the 2 of them. We were fantastic against them, and they were challenging for the Bundesliga title that season, where it was Eintracht Frankfurt, who are below mid-table by the end of the season. They shut out basically domestically, but they were ready for us in Europe. So it doesn't really work out like that. And I've got to be honest, I am pretty hopeful because his record in away games in Europe speaks for itself.
Yeah, that's the thing. Honestly, I wouldn't shock me if we actually get a point, and I would be delighted with that, because I think if we win one more game, I think we're pretty much guaranteed to be in the playoffs at least. So I think we'll get the playoffs. But of course, I think Spurs is going to be very tricky at Ibrox, Alec, because of course they battered Man City yesterday, I think 4-0. So I'm not looking forward to that one. Thank God.
The home win against Villa as well. The thing for me, Scott, was I was writing off. I was just basically saying we're going to lose to the 2 League 1 teams and the 2 Premier League teams, and it's what we do in the other 4 games. So we've done absolutely brilliantly in 3 of the other 4 games that we've played so far. I just don't want us to take total tankings in these next 3 games, but it'd be understandable if we did. I mean, it would make sense if we get gubbed this Thursday against the strength of opposition we're playing. Well, we don't have a great European record, a great European history, Nice, but it's all down to Union Saint-Gilloise in the last game, and I don't want to. Hopefully, we're not hanging on for that before we realise what we're going through. But so far, I think the records this season, this new extended group stage, has been absolutely fantastic under Clement, and I hope he can just pick us up a point. I would definitely take a point anyway on Thursday.
100%. And Alec, it was an absolute pleasure being on the show with you tonight, and I'm looking forward to doing many more shows with you going forward, and hopefully James Tavernier picks up his form so we can do a full show just raving about how brilliant he is.
We'll have them switching off in their thousands, mate. We'll have them switching off in their thousands.
Definitely, mate.
Pleasure, Scott. Thank you.
Loved it, mate. Loved it. And thanks, guys, for listening. And until next time, take care, and we'll see you soon.